Okay, so in honor of the wedding last night, we share the following. It's a famous story. You may have heard it. In the history of Lubavitch, one of the greatest chasanas was known as the Zlobin chasana. Zlobin is a town in Poland. It was the great Chassidic wedding of 1806. The Kala, her name was Shena. It's a name in Lubavitch. Shena was the name of the Rebbe's sister, Rebbe's and Chaim Ushka's sister. She was killed in Treblinka. The Rebbe used to say Kaddish for her and her husband. So this is the original Shenas. This is the daughter, the granddaughter of the Alter Rebbe. That was the Kala. Who was the Chassan? The Chassan was an Einikol, a grandson of Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchev. They became Mechotonim. His name was, I never need to start, read this now. The name of the Chassan was Eliezer der Bamdiger. Der Bamdiger. Never heard that name before either. Der Bamdiger. He was the Chassan. Now the two families lived far apart. Rabbi in Berditchev and Alter Rebbe in Liadi on the Yajna. So they decided to make the pasuk, the Chassan, the midway point in Poland, in Zlobin. It's known as the great Zlobin Chassan. Many stories there. We've shared a few of them. And in those days, thousands came. It'd be like hundreds of thousands today or more. Thousands of Chassidim came to Zlobin for the big Chassan. The streets around the wedding hall were teemed with well-wishers, while in the hall itself, one could hardly move. At one point, the two Mechotonim, Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev, the famous Berditchever, and the Alter Rebbe wanted to discuss something privately outside, but they just couldn't get there because of the crowd. So Rabbi Yitzchak said to the Alter Rebbe, Mechoton, let's go through the wall. Go through the wall, which they could do. Unfazed, the Alter Rebbe responded, not everything one is capable of should be done in public. That's a profound lesson right there. That not everything that we are capable of belongs in the public eye. That's between us and the Eibishter. Ties in with the Maimah too. Because to do such a thing in public would shatter the world. That's not the Kavanah. The Kavanah is not to shatter the world. Kavanah is the Nesachim, the Chesed. But aside from that, it's an important lesson and a big hallmark of Chassidim. It's an interesting balance, friends, that we need to balance. I just want to tell you, we're welcoming, first of all, Ronnie has joined us. Ari is here. Jeremy.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. You had a good trip back, Ronnie?
Baruch Hashem. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov, Rabbi.
Amazing. Debbie's with me.
Oh, Mazel tov.
Mazel tov, Rabbi.
It's our Friday morning breakfast date in Shiur.
That's right.
I'm happy that's where we're doing it together.
Amen.
So I'm just sharing here. Just hang on a second. I'm just going to mute you, but unmute yourselves to speak, friends. I'm sorry about what happened here. So I'm just sharing in this story here that I just told you. It's an interesting balance, and things shifted. Let me explain why. In the whole history of Chabad, up until really our Rebbe, Chassidim took great pains not to, their piety should not be known, not their scholarship, not their piety, scholarship. Obviously, for obvious reasons, it's between me and the Eibishter, and to flaunt it and to get recognition and covered for it, for a chassid is an abuse of the sacred. What's the word for it in Hebrew? Me'ilah is it's forbidden to make private use of anything holy. What's the word for it? It's the prohibition. It's called to Me'ilah, whatever. And that's how it was. That's how it was. Literally, a chassid was a. So that was a big part of being the chassid. To learn to be a gadol and a great person. So, misappropriation of the sacred. It's to serve. Now that changed a little bit because our Rebbe has called for, you got to be an example. For example, tzedakah. In the old days, people would give tzedakah, and the highlight, the greatest thing would be hatzne leches, that nobody knew the tzedakah that you gave. But the Rebbe says nowadays we don't have that luxury. You have to be an example, because if people know what you did, others will be inspired. And if you know Aleph, you teach Aleph. You know Aleph Beis, teach Aleph Beis. You don't keep it for yourself. So it's a balance. So the answer is not a balance. It's both. And the Rebbe comes along in generation number 7 after 6 generations, meaning after 6 generations of breaking the ego, and it's all about God. Now engage the ego also for God and share it with another Jew. Share it, because that's what Eibishter wants. So you can teach. You teach. If whatever talent you have, it should be public. On the other hand, there is still profound room for areas in life that's between me and God alone that ought not be public. But it's not an easy thing. It's really a mashpia. It's not an easy thing to know exactly this balance. But the overall is, as the Jewish people are holding now, all of us, we're all holding at a level where you have a gift, and we all know it's a gift. Use it, whether it's an intellectual talent, whether it's financially, whatever it is. Share it and use it and make it public. And make it public. Why? The point is, again, not for self-aggrandizement, but because why? Because you're touching and inspiring another Jew. I'll just conclude this by saying, I think on some level, having gone through the Holocaust, etc., what our people have gone through, and it's in our DNA, where many of us are grandchildren of survivors, or if not children. When everything was stripped away, I think there's a general consciousness, and what's the dollar, and what another day? It's all a gift, and it's all to serve. Nobody can delude themselves that this is where it starts and ends. We all saw it all collapsed overnight, terribly. It was taken away, and we all see the Holocaust has made us see the transience. Can't speak. Transientness. No. But something is transient. How fleeting life is. The physical. That's in our consciousness. So a Yid today is successful, and he's given a talent. We're just part of this generation that of course it's to share and to give, and it's to make this world a home for God and end the golus. It's part of our whole mindset today. Everybody just being born in this generation, and the Rebbe cultivates it, public, and share it, and that's our generation. But it's successful because it's not coming in a vacuum. It's coming after the generations of sacrifice and avodah of the previous generations. Okay.